Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today is another sketchbook drawing session, but I'm going to be taking you guys along with me while I will try to attempt to make two new OCs today. They are going to be kind of like a pair, which is why I'm going to be doing two, and it is going to be a longer sketchbook session. But we aren't going to be doing like acrylic markers or anything. We're just going to do normal sketching. I might do a little bit of color here and there. And I'll explain a little bit why later. My goal for today is to have a better idea of what I want these OCs to kind of look like. So I think I've mentioned in the past that I'm not really like story driven or like narrative or lore for my OCs specifically because I just don't have I think it's because like I'm not too fixated on wanting to make a story specific for my OCs per se. Like there's like a very rough outline for both Selwin's kind of storyline-ish, like a very vague idea, as well as Masaki. But I like having OCs. I'm just not the type that keeps like a gajillion OCs to keep track of. But for Selwin, a lot of you guys have expressed like, oh, are you ever going to draw like more companions or friends or more other OCs in his universe? Because right now he's kind of like all by himself since he's not part of like Masaki's in the gang, I guess, in their universe. So that's what we are going to be working on today. So actually on the back side of this page, I have like a very minimal amount of like doodling and sketching on the side about kind of like the two OCs, but I'm going to show you guys how my sketches or my thought process kind of develops over maybe, I don't know how many spreads we're going to be doing today, because I'm just going to let my brain kind of like barf out ideas onto my sketchbook as I'm browsing through the Pinterest board that I made, which I will try to link into the description if I remember, if you guys are interested in how I make some of my boards. Because sometimes I make boards like after for my OCs to collect like clothing references and outfits that I think would be cute for my OCs. But I feel like more recently, after I made, or during the process when I made Selwin, which I'm going to be showing you guys also, I would collect like aesthetics, accessories, color palettes, like general aesthetic, hair, whatever you want to call it, all into one board to see what I could pick from for the character. Now, I think more or less I have kind of the behind the scenes of both Kaisen and Selwin's like designing in a certain extent. I think because like I said, I'm not really like story or lore driven that much. It's mostly based off of aesthetics, and because of that I feel like it's a lot more of a quicker process for me because I had a very specific idea of what I wanted. So for Kaisen, I think I've talked about it very briefly, both about Kaisen and probably in the sketchbook, that my main goal for Kaisen was that I wanted a dark-haired character that was probably going to be either more stern or more blunt, I guess. That kind of like type of character to be kind of like a companion to Masaki or another foil character for Masaki. What kind of character do I really like? And I was thinking like, oh, Wanu kind of fits like a lot of the defaults for me, but I don't want an OC that resembles like an actual person, nor do I want to turn that person into an OC, because I always have weird feelings about that. I know a few people do that for their own characters, but for me, I don't want Wanu to be associated with my OC per se. So when I did like a very default sketching session, I defaulted to drawing someone that looks very much like how I draw Wanu initially. So curly-ish, wavy hair. This looks kind of more like the Getting Closer version of Wanu from that performance, I think. I wanted glasses. I wanted dark hair. At some point, I was definitely trying to figure out what kind of color hair that I wanted for him. And then eventually I was like, maybe we'll scrap that altogether because it looks too much like Wanu. So ended up going with, you know, maybe more fluffier hair, maybe give him a ponytail, maybe give him glasses like this instead. And then after that, the other sketches. Ended up thinking maybe I repurpose Selwin to become Kaisen. And obviously you guys know that this will no longer be Selwin. He turns into somebody else later, or he gets a makeover. But when I'm trying to figure out Kaisen, I'm like kind of keeping notes of things that I want. So it says I want a stern, fluffy, floofy dude. I had a name potentially, so I can't really tell if I wrote Kaisen with a C or if it's Kaisei. But then I was trying to figure out, do I want it to be black and white? Do I want them to be more stern, blunt, doggy, dog world kind of vibe? I wanted him to be a classmate of Masaki, but ended up scrapping that. But then I had like, you know, plant nursery, which is actually the route that I went with because I wanted him to be associated with plants as well. The general shape of his bangs kind of looks like Kaisen already, but the general silhouette of his hair is different. So getting rid of like the longer ponytail, instead of making him entirely round, I made him a little bit more sharper around the edges, I guess, in a sense. Try to plan out his outfit, and then eventually this became Kaisen. And then I did, there was more in here somewhere. Here it is. This is what kind of like solidified Kaisen's aesthetic, his demeanor, everything for me. So ended up sketching him in a way that I feel like fits him the best, and this became Kaisen. So, you know, later on as I started drawing more, we get more Kaisen in the sketchbook, and he becomes a little bit less stern and becomes a little bit more silly, if anything. And then for Selwin, so kind of like piggybacking off of that previous session where I was drawing Selwin in his old design based off of my friend's like little magical school AU kind of story, this is kind of like the planning process for Selwin. So kind of similar to Kaisen, just ended up sketching, but Selwyn's purpose was different than Kaisen. Kaisen, I wanted him to be specifically kind of like a companion to Masaki. I wanted more characters in Masaki's universe or world, and I wanted someone more of his age to interact with. So ended up making Kaisen for that purpose. And as well that I just wanted the black-haired OC because I like dark-haired characters. Decided to repurpose him for a completely different universe or type because I wanted him to have a bit more of a different aesthetic. So luckily, right off the bat, I kind of have a character that I ended up really liking upon the first sketch. Now, the difference between Kaisen and Selwyn's like thought process is that if you guys are struggling with making OCs, I recommend doing this, especially if you're not the type that requires your character to be part of a story. You don't have like a specific lore for them or have a specific aesthetic already set for them. Try doing this first, especially if you're new to making an OC or you just want a new idea to make an OC. So start off by taking characters from any media and just kind of like line them up. So for me, I liked my Kamiyoshi at the time. So Ike Eveland was a big one, especially for Selwyn. I liked Alba Nox, who's another Oshi of mine. I liked Kaida Haru. I liked Danhung, I liked Zhongli, I liked New Valette, I like a bunch of different characters, but for the most part, there's like a bit of overlap in there. So for me, I knew I wanted the bangs to be a very specific way, and they kind of look like Kaisen's a little bit, but I wanted them to be a bit longer, kind of going towards one side, but I like the idea of having the hair layered and overlapped, because a lot of like my VTuber Oshis kind of has that look for the most part. Once again, more on the fluffier side. I do like when they have longer bits to their hair, if that makes sense, but I didn't want it to be specifically longer hair. So it's kind of more like between a mullet and a wolf cut kind of haircut, if that makes sense. And then aesthetics and like color palette we can get to a little bit later. So Selwyn became kind of like the conglomeration of a bunch of things that I liked aesthetically from a bunch of different characters, plus my own drawing habits. So for me, I like shading in hair inherently after I draw it, so I wanted him to have dark hair as well. I wanted him to be a character that's easy for me to draw. So having the bangs naturally curve in the same direction that I like to draw in helps a lot, especially for these details and just the general shape of his hair. Wanted a softer aesthetic because that's what my preference is, and then lots of sweaters, chunkier clothing, all that became like something part of Selwyn. So these were the initial sketches for him, and then after I figured out how I wanted him to look, because this was like right from the start, I really liked it, tried with more like straight sharper eyes, I guess, rather than more rounder. So just sketching without too much of the color palette in mind. After that, we switch over, we do a little bit of sketching again, use ballpoint pen and watercolors to help establish what I want for color palette. Because I find watercolor a lot easier for me to mix any color that I would like. So, you know, I wanted navy blue and I wanted yellow to be very prominent. This is actually very close to what Selwyn looks like right now. Then after that, you know, drawing him more to see what I would like him to look like, rather than in these kind of like derpy kind of drawings, trying to put more effort into it to figure it out, as well as just getting some inking practice in. Then with Copic markers, ended up trying my best to figure out another color palette. So trying to go with this, but it was a little bit too muted for my taste. So we ended up changing this to a sweater color and then putting in more of like an orangey reddish brick color for an accent color later. But I do like this is kind of like his concept page for the most part of what he used to look like. Try to figure out accessories. After that, just trying to sketch him. So luckily he was very easy for me to sketch because like I said, I wanted a character that embodied everything that I liked from characters that I like from other series as well as my own drawing habits. So it became very easy. I like chunkier clothing because it's easy for me to shade and try to get that form. I wanted a patterning to make it more fun to draw traditionally. And then fluffier hair, very easy to simplify for me. So this is kind of like how Selwin came to be in my sketchbook for the most part. Yeah, you can see that I ended up drawing Selwin quite a bit in my sketchbook afterwards. So luckily he did become a character that I really liked. Eventually I'll go back and probably draw Arakan again, because looking back at this, I actually don't mind what he looks like. Maybe more so this one, these two. So I might actually take photos of these and slap them back in my Discord, because I have like a Discord channel towards like for myself so that I can keep references of my own OCs just in case. But that's kind of like the overall process in terms of making Kaisen and Selwin. I feel like for like Masaki and like the rest of the gang have very specific purposes. Like Masaki was meant to be a way for to push myself to draw more foliage and flowers. Yeah, I feel like I had specific purposes for all of my OCs to a certain extent, but I kind of missed the days where people didn't have pressure to make OCs, where you don't have to follow lore, you don't have to care about too much about like shape, language, all this stuff. I feel like people want to hit all the check marks right away without the whimsy, if that makes sense. So right now, all I'm gonna do is start to sketch based off of the stuff that I have in my Pinterest board, and we're just gonna see how it goes. Now, like I mentioned, I have already pre-sketched a few things on this side, but I thought it'd be fun to compare how the OC might evolve from my initial sketches to what we can come up with. And as I'm sketching, I'm gonna explain what exactly I want, because I think I briefly mentioned it probably in the Selwin video where I talked a little bit more about his potential lore and stuff, and people were asking whether or not if I would make characters for his world because he's all alone. And I still like the idea of making Selwin still by himself, so there is a specific purpose for these two characters, but I don't know if I'm going to keep them per se, but we're going to try our best. I have kind of a color palette or an aesthetic in mind. So let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can get a better view, as we're not working on an entire spread all at once like we did for the last few sketchbook sessions. So let me go ahead and set that up and I'll be right back. Okay, I think this angle should work. So in terms of what I'm sketching with right now, just because I really love, obviously, this lead. I've talked about this probably too many times, but I'm using my Hi-Tec-C Coletto 5, which is like a multi-pen, decked out with the mechanical pencil options instead. And this is the lead that I'm using, which is the Uni Nano Dia Colour in the color blue. I mentioned it many times that this one just feels very smooth. It's very easy to use, and I feel like it just smudges like a little bit less noticeably compared to just using normal graphite. So I can't sketch like entirely willy-nilly for these two characters because I do have a specific set thing that I would like them to aesthetically be. But if you're just doing what I did with Selwin, just start sketching, maybe collect a few references and stuff that you would like of the characters that you already do enjoy visually. The plan. So this is definitely going to be a very yappy video. So my plan for today is to make two OCs, part of Selwin's world. I briefly touched upon potentially what would be the characters that would interact with Selwin in his universe. Because I mentioned that Selwin's kind of more in an isolated like planet of some sort. And he has like duties to fulfill basically regarding like people's wishes and all that stuff. He has like magical elements or powers and stuff. But the characters that I wanted to have potentially interacting with him is some sort of like mail courier or messenger. But as I was like figuring about how I wanted to go about the characters, There's like 3 kind of like aesthetics or jobs that I wanted to give the one character that I initially had, but I was like, I think it's too much of like overlap and too much to just put onto one character. Hence why I want to make 2 characters, and I think I'm just gonna make them like brothers. Then I don't actually have to merge their aesthetics per se. So we're gonna draw the younger brother first. I do want to give them more like pointed ears because I want to give them kind of like a star earpiece, and I feel like it fits better if their ears are a bit longer and wider. Earring piercing, but I wanted to have it so that it's... I don't know if I want it to be pierced into their ear per se, but I wanted to have like some sort of connection to one of those like device type of things that people use to talk in their car. I forget what it's called. It's like those Bluetooth earpieces that people used to have before getting like AirPods and stuff, or connecting Bluetooth to their car specifically. So I want this character to be a bit softer, but compared to Selwin, I feel like he's still a little bit more stoic-ish. So what I actually did is I took a picture of the character on the other page, and I'm kind of like roughly following the same hairstyle, but if I need to make changes I will. But I'm kind of following because I'm kind of already sold on his hair, what I want it to be. I really want to figure out color as kind of like color palette, and I didn't really figure out clothing because I feel like I said, I think his face and just visually, I like what he looks like. The brother, I think I might have to fix up a little bit more. Because I think I want him to be kind of on the shorter side. And the older brother would be probably similar height-ish to Selwin, because Selwin is supposed to be tall, I guess. And I want this guy to be shorter hair as well. And I don't know if I want to give him an earring. I feel like with the earpiece stuff going on, it's fine. Something like this. I might also give him a hat, which is why I'm like low-key thinking about like how do I want his hair to be. Like, do I want to give him like more of a round head shape and then give him the hat as well, or do I want it to stick with this? And then for clothing aesthetic, so for the younger brother, I guess this is him. I don't have names for them yet. So this is the younger brother. I'm probably gonna make him the mail courier. And they have like a train space system or whatever it is. Instead of like a subway line, it's like trains in space. I'll get to that eventually. But I'm gonna have to figure out how I want his hat to be as well. But I kind of like this aesthetic. I'm gonna figure out his hair though. Because I'm thinking, as much as I love having dark hair, to not make it too similar to Selwin, I'm thinking he would have lighter colored hair. Maybe tan skin and lighter eyes. I'm gonna really have to play around with the color palette for him, as well as his brother, because I feel like they're gonna have similar-ish color palettes. Maybe the older brother will just have like more of like a variant. But I feel like they'll work from the same company, so they might have very similar colored uniforms to a certain extent, for the most part. So I want him to be more of like the mail courier, like I mentioned. And I think I have like some references I've saved for kind of that aesthetic. I'm trying to think if I want him to be kind of like opposite to Selwin. So because he's also going to be shorter, maybe I'll give him more a triangle silhouette this way. Because Selwyn's supposed to be more like bulky on top with his thin legs. Because his sweater is very wide and very big. But I'm thinking I want this to be the opposite for him. So maybe he has like a thinner build, but then the pant silhouette is like a lot larger. And I did mention that if you don't have like any idea about like your OCs and you don't want to worry about like shape language, you don't want to care about too much about even like having consistent color palette for your entire cast or world building or story or lore and stuff, just make OCs that you think are fun. Because If anything, your OCs could all be standalone OCs. Like, they don't have to be in each other's world. I like this one a little bit more. He looks a little bit less boyish compared to how I drew him initially. It's kind of the idea that I want for him. And I want him to have more of like a fluffy coat kind of thing, but I don't know how I want to do this. Because I feel like both of them would be friends with Selwin. More so the younger brother, and then, you know, older brother is kind of like acquaintance with Selwin. I was gonna say dumb down the character, but it does help me make more choices for the character that I feel like will eventually actually stick with my drawing habits. And like I said, you don't have to make it difficult for yourself, right? Oh, but as I'm talking about this, actually, I wanted to look at reference of Marcus from Reverse 1999 as well, because I like her general aesthetic. I feel like if I give him a bulky coat, everyone's just gonna be bulky. Which is not like, it's not the worst thing, but that's why I wanted to give him a scarf or something. This is why outfit has to come later. Okay, let's figure out the hat. Because I feel like all their hats are going to be... But the aesthetic for these characters, for the two that I'm going to design for today, kind of gives me a little bit more like... I was going to say a little vintage in terms of aesthetic for some of the clothing choices. I think it's because it's just the times that these were more prominent jobs, I guess, in terms of like their uniforms and stuff. I feel like is more older. But also kind of like steampunky is what another aesthetic that maybe I was like looking towards, because I was thinking he was either going to be like mail courier, he was going to be a mechanic or train conductor to help like, you know, send mail or send things across space. But I feel like I want the older brother to be the train conductor and then have him, maybe he was initially a mechanic or something like that. And then little brother is mostly just, you know, works on the brother's train. But he's doing the deliveries technically. And I feel like sometimes these designs get a little bit more complicated looking because I'm so into VTubers and all of them always have like complicated designs. But I feel like because Selwin, technically he didn't have specific lore, because I was so unsure on whether or not I was going to keep any magic aspect from, what is it called? Why am I blanking? Oh, my friend's AU. Because he was meant to be a kind of like personal comfort character in a sense. And I was watching someone's video talking about like, hopefully this topic doesn't get depressing. If your Oshi graduates in like the VTuber sphere and they were somebody you drew a lot to, you know, make fan art of and all that, and they suddenly disappear, you low-key lose your muse. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the way we're timing-wise, when did I make Selwin actually? I'm pretty sure I made Selwin after Ike's graduation, and I feel like Selwin looks more like aesthetically towards like Ike in a sense, like with the star motifs or like those sparkle designs and stuff, the hair, a bit floofier, the glasses. So this sketchbook, I drew something for Ike's graduation, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it was in here though. I know I did digitally. When was the sketchbook? November 7th to August 29th. So it definitely overlapped with his graduation. It's just, did I draw anything from it? Well, I guess I can read here. April, so it would have been around here that he graduated. So Selwin was definitely after Ike graduated. I feel like he low-key was trying to fill in the void for me for that, because I drew so much of Ike before. Oops, this lid's a little too short. The thing about like some of these aesthetics, I do not want to lean it towards too much like military-esque. Also want to make his hat kind of like, not like a beret per se. I want to change the shape of it a little bit. So it does lean a little bit too military for me. I was also thinking, do I want to give him like the little ear flap things? I feel like that's more for pilots. Because that or the backside, I can make it very cute. Make this more of like a certain color for the ribbon. Because I feel like uniform-wise, I might go with like lighter aesthetics so that it leans a little bit more away from military officer type of aesthetic. But I'm also like looking at this. I love this color palette, but I'm leaning towards this and or this color palette. So something lighter, but I love kind of like this mint color and the red. I don't think I want his hair color to be red, so I want this to be a very strong like accent color. So I'm leaning towards the hair color to be either very light or even like a minty color. What do I want? Because that or I could make his hair dark as well. Like I said, I feel like it matches too much with Selwin's hair color. Or like a silvery color could be another way. I don't know why I'm thinking about so much about color right now when I just need to figure out what they're gonna look like. But I kind of want to give them maybe like a ribbon or something. So I was looking at it, and there's like this really cute beret as well that I really like. I guess if it's a beret, do you want to do it like this then? It's more... I believe this is like the Sunday Mihoyo hat. It's the one that I'm looking at. I think it actually would be cute. Then I can make the hat darker in a way. And have this more of that minty lighter color maybe. And then his hair can also be light. And then we can accent it with maybe red ribbon. Excuse my writing. I swear when I write in my sketchbook, I write so messily because I don't really care. And it's like for my, like for me to read. Clothing. So usually for clothing, I really dumb it down at first. So anything that's more towards like a chibi or just simplified body works the best for me. So that I don't have to commit to anything super long and then immediately hating it. So let's simplify him once more. I didn't talk about this. I might add them to Arfight if I can figure out how I want to draw them. Because the last thing I would want to do is commit to a design, or think I committed to a design, have people draw him, and then change him completely. Which is, once again, there's nothing wrong with that. It just feels bad when people make fan art and then the design changes, I feel like. For me, anyways. So how do we want to do this? I would love to give him more of like Marcus's aesthetic. And I feel like it would make sense for him because he's leaving the train more in the environment. He could have something more bulkier. Where's Marcus on here? I also love these. The fashion is something that I find so difficult. Should probably keep his hat in, actually. Because this would definitely sit lower on his head. But for now, I'm just gonna do it like this. Okay, so what do I want for this? I have so many like fluffy coats. I also have like stuff that's more like poncho-esque. So that way he could keep warm if it's like that. Oh, I didn't tell you guys what I was listening to music-wise. Music-wise, I'm listening to Pokemon Mystery Dungeon music because I thought it would be more fitting to listen to something that's like not... How do I explain it? It's not exactly fantasy, but it's more like a different overworld feeling. Listen to this. I would still want him to have some sort of vest. I don't know if I want to go like poncho. We'll see. Let's try to figure out the aesthetic right now. So I'm thinking boots. I don't know if I like this per se. I might grab a marker actually. I have this blue one that I usually use in my sketchbook more recently. So I might keep their uniform like very light looking. If he's gonna be carrying stuff. Okay, let's do another one. You guys also drawing along? Is there like a favorite way you guys like to make OCs? I'm not gonna fit them all in here. I should have simplified him more. So I don't need this to be like anatomically correct. We're just trying to figure out how exactly I want to draw this guy. Close enough. Are you guys like more story driven? Are you purely on aesthetics? You just make OCs kind of more on a whim? Getting in a very standard T-pose kind of feeling here. I feel like he'd be a little bit more thinner though, because he also looks a little too tall. I feel like I want him to have a scarf though. Do I want it to be loose? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, what if I swapped his hair around? That's fine. Because I was thinking like maybe the ribbon's coming from the one in his hair, but maybe we can just have it on both sides regardless. Just jacket wise, I don't know what I want. Because I don't know if I want them to be all like star themed as well. Bag, I don't want it to be like briefcase. I want it to be more of those fabric kind of bags so like you can fit more more stuff. This is another thing I would love to include. I don't know if I want to include as just like alternate outfits for Selwin, or maybe I'll incorporate into this guy's outfit. I love the see-through kind of fabric that's a gradation. I was thinking if we shorten the coat in the front and he has like a longer tail coat, maybe that's better. Still go with higher boots. I think I saved some very cute boots somewhere. I don't know what I want for him. It looks too much of a mishmash. I might get rid of these little tail ends. So that way we can kind of keep him more in a actual uniform. He looks a little too... Maybe scarf or fluff. Yeah, I don't know if I like the scarf. I feel like maybe this is a better way of doing it. So maybe like a fluffy coat. Because I feel like that's a way that he could still look cozy. It's still kind of like in this more tailored uniform, I guess. I really need to look at like a hat at different angles. I know I had a reference somewhere because I know I was gonna struggle with this as well. I think it's also because I don't know how I want his hat to be. Just need to figure out the size of the hat. Okay, let's move on. I'm gonna also get a scrap piece of paper to put in between my sketch pages. You can see my hands turning very blue, but this doesn't smudge as badly as graphite. It's just picking up on my hand mostly. Stick this in here, and then maybe we'll move on to either color or working on the older brother. Because I don't know if we're doing color today per se. We'll do one more. I might add ballpoint pen to this, so I'm gonna have to find my ballpoint pen after. We're not gonna fit it all in here. The boots are like the least of my concerns right now, because I might not even include his hair at this point. Actually, we should probably just draw their face. But like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna add them to Arfight. If I can solidify their design, I will add them to Arfight because I'll make reference sheets for them. But I also said that I was potentially gonna see if I could do Arakan and Anka as well. Okay, at least I think this is more towards his body proportions. He's kind of smaller. Maybe this is why I usually don't record these sessions. I feel like I don't talk as much. I have to think a little bit more than while I'm working on the spreads, I guess. But because we have the ribbon on the back side of his head on this side, I was gonna give him another earring, but I feel like too many of my OCs have earrings, one. And then two, there's too much going on here if that was the case. So I think I wanted to give him a high collar. It overlaps like this, maybe with a button, and then I wanted to give him like a fluffier coat of some sort. And maybe we'll just give him a base of a uniform and then we can expand from that, because I feel like because I did the opposite way, I lost the plot. Also gloves, which I'll figure out like a glove design for him more properly later. Maybe it's on top of his jacket rather than being a part of his jacket. I think I'm now tying in like, I think I'm tying in the Witch Hat Atelier one where Olrugio has it like tied on top. Because then that way he can have the same ribbons as someone as well. Which is not the same color probably. Well, maybe it might be the same color, who knows? And that way, maybe this can also just sit on top. I was thinking if this should be like a... That way we can kind of keep his silhouette of his body still slim. And then this will be bulked out, kind of like in a similar way as Selwin. Just think how would this work? I'm thinking like, is there a way that I can make the hat cuter? So he reads less like threatening. I think it's just the buttons placements there that makes it very harsh looking. I could go with the button design that I was initially going to give Selwin. Because how do we go kind of like slightly green blue, like more leaning towards green than purple, and then kind of like that. What am I talking about? I can just show you guys. Something like this. Because that, or we go with this, or kind of more bare bones this, which I feel like could be very cute for like a courier. Because I see so many color palettes I really like, but it's literally Selwyn's color palette, which I could use. And then you just have to play around with the weight of each color. My two areas I was thinking, I was either going to lean him very pale because the color palette is also very pale. But I feel like it might make sense to make him a little bit more like tan. Kind of like how I initially sketched out Selwyn for some reason. Always put the highlight at the very bottom. I'm trying to draw his hair, how exactly I would want it. I'm ignoring the hat at this point because I want to use this one as a way to establish how I want his hair to be. Because I know one problem is going to be whatever time like I have a new OC, minus I guess Selwyn, he only changed like a smidge. He just looks cuter without his hat. I'm also going to find a ballpoint pen real quick. I guess we'll draw his like just singular eye here so I can try to figure out the eye color. I guess I'll do it in my normal style. I feel like I usually add ballpoint pen after. Maybe I'll do that. That way we can just pick and choose the lines we want to make stronger. Okay. I just realized there's not that much skin showing anyways. But the color palette I think I'm going to be working with is going to be fairly light. I feel like this is the smarter choice in terms of like, especially the balance of the colors here. I don't think it would have changed much if his hair color was lighter or darker, but I think for the overall color palette being super bright and light, I think it might be a better choice. Like I said, the other choice is to make his hair more... to mix my colors, because I usually am okay with color picking or color mixing. Beige is one of those colors that is very hard for me to capture, especially without like context, I guess. And then eye color, I know Selwyn has a gradient. I wonder if I do gray to yellow. Everything looks so green right now. Because my other option was to do more of like a gray blue, kind of like mid-tone-ish color. I feel like it's gonna be like a mid-tone color. That's what I'm looking for. I feel like this will make more sense digitally. If I have time and I don't do it in this video, I will draw a chibi version maybe of him, so you can figure out his actual color palette. I think it's because I want it to be very muted. A lot of the colors I'm choosing right now is very vibrant, so he's gonna look very out of place. I think the hat color and the hair color might be swapped. I don't know. I don't hate the color here. I feel like I want even more contrast. Because now I'm thinking maybe I lean him more towards like a purpley periwinkle color instead. Green just reads very military, and I think it's because I didn't get the mint color that I wanted. That's more like a slate kind of blue-green. Yeah, I need to either make his hair darker or lean it more light. I think is the way to go. We'll just let this dry for now, and then we'll kind of pull out everything a bit in terms of the details. Because right now I think it's also because my lines are not very contrasted that I'm having a harder time imagining it. Oh, I did save it. What the heck? I like these like almost diagonal like tilted bows, so it's kind of like, I'll draw it this way. But it looks so cute because then your collar is like here still, but it's like tilted into the collar. Does that make sense? I think it looks so cute because if I do like a thinner version, it might look cuter on him like this. Okay, so we're gonna find a way to incorporate this. I don't know if I'm gonna solidify his design in this video, so please bear with me because I would like to sketch out his brother as well, so you guys can kind of get my vision of what I want these guys to be, because I want him to be shorter. Because I think in like when I did stuff for like Masaki's universe and I gave like Akemi his siblings, we kind of had like Anka. She's kind of like more of a spunky, curious kid than her older brother, who's just like a tired office worker. But he's just like he's very nice. He's a little bit more quiet, but very nice and sweet. But I want this guy's older brother to be kind of like a little smartass type, like a bit nicer to his brother. But everyone else, he's like kind of mean in a way. I also don't know if I want this to be like in their ear. I'm still thinking, because like initially when I saw the design that I wanted for this, it's like a piercing. So I think it's supposed to be up until your... Wow, I'm forgetting the names for piercing locations now. Wait, is it like your helix? Like it's stabbed right into the upper portion of your ear, I think is what it is. I kind of like the hair color, but it means it's leaning just more towards silver, if anything. Depending on how well I can draw the older brother, because I don't want the age gap to be big. I think they're maybe like a year apart, maybe 2 years. But I do want them to have like a height difference. I'm gonna leave this because I actually don't know if I like how I drew the outfit. Let's try it again. I think this is like, I do like the ribbon there though. Oh well. Because maybe I'll swap these. We'll swap sides and then I'll have the ribbon peeping out of here. Hopefully I can get used to just drawing him so that, kind of like similar to the rest of my OCs. I feel like some of them I do struggle with sometimes because I just don't draw them enough. I feel like the color scheme I'm looking a little bit more towards, slightly more pastel version, is like Frio from Niji Sanji. A little bit, because he kind of has that greenish blue slate steel color that I like. Let me look up Marcus again, because like I said, maybe I will go larger coat over top of like some sort of uniform outfit. So that way we can still give him kind of our... He might still have a hat. I think I just want to draw his hair because I feel like it just reads more career. I just might change the hat so it's less military style. Maybe like this for the design or something. It just looks too serious, you know what I mean? Which now makes me think, do I want to do boxy sleeves, but leave them open? And then this way I can have his uniform still kind of intact. I think this is why I never typically show my character designing process, because there is no process. It's just, everything is kind of willy-nilly. I'm thinking, do I want to go vest or jumbo sleeve? Because I know my preference is jumbo sleeve. I shouldn't have drawn them so large, because I feel like I still have to do another few more sketches to figure this out. I think I'm gonna merge the two of these somehow. I think I'm just torn if I want to give him like a vest underneath instead of this jacket. But my brain was like so fixated on wanting to flesh out this character, because like I had the general vibe and general aesthetic that I wanted, and I think I'm not sticking with any of it because I'm not letting my brain think anymore. But I might lighten it. And kind of like how I do Selwyn's and Kaisen's hair, whenever I do highlights, I lean it a very specific way if there's not really any strong lighting. So that way maybe more of like this teal green color can kind of peep through. I just need to find a better way of neutralizing the colors in my watercolor palette right now to the color I want. Because I think a part of me is like, I want him to have the courier kind of look, but I don't want it to be like too on the nose, and I think that's where I'm struggling, because now it doesn't look like it at all. Because the other accent color I would add to this is probably like a navy blue. And I'm adding the brown, I don't really like it. Brown's not bad, but I feel like the navy blue would help in terms of like a color that would help it pop. Because I could also do that for like the inside. He looks too business now. We'll do a couple of sketches of the brother as well, maybe on the next page. But I think I'm going to only sketch out his face. We'll see. Because they look similar-ish, but not like super similar, if that makes sense. Because I would like them to share the same hair color and maybe the same eye color, but they just look different in terms of their demeanor, as well as like their hair is not the same, facial structure is a little bit different, and same with their height, and obviously their attire. May add shadows after as well. I think this is what happens when I didn't have like a clear, not like a super clear direction of what I wanted. I just had like a general idea, but this at least allows me to play around, if that makes sense. I think in general, I think his hair is cute. His hair is cute, and I think he's cute so far, so I think we're gonna leave his face for now. It's just color palette is up in the air, as well as what exactly I want his outfit to fully look like. Because I could lean him more cute and like put together in a sense if I close his little fluffy jacket hood thing, or do I leave it more open? Which is what I'm still kind of debating right now. Because I also was trying to think, do I want to make this a vest instead? So you probably at least take me a few iterations, like off camera, to figure out what I want from this character first, before I fully introduce them as like characters in Selwyn's world, I guess. He also doesn't look as young, but I didn't want him to look super babyish. So I'll show you what he looked like initially, after we do one more spread where we kind of tackled the brother. Yeah, because this looks very casual. I'm gonna have to find like a balance between the two. But I'm just gonna let this dry even more, and then we'll come do one more spread with me as we sketch out the brother, because I would like to at least tackle figuring out how I want his face to look, because I kind of ended up liking this one for him. Okay. Younger brother, we're just gonna move on. I'll figure out names and stuff at some point. Time for the older brother, which I know I'm gonna struggle. I also don't know if I'm gonna keep his design. So he is gonna have the same, I don't know if it's gonna be an earring or an earpiece or whatever, which is why I was initially gonna attach it to the Bluetooth thing, but we're gonna see. Also, this page is very bumpy now, so I might sketch him here first. I'm giving him thinner brows, but he's definitely gonna be more judgy. I feel like I already drawn his eyes too big. That's usually my issue, especially drawing more Ikemen, is that I give them such large eyes. I need to like thin them out and then make them narrower. Actually, it would be funnier if he's actually the younger brother. I always find that funny that the younger brothers or like younger siblings are like taller and bigger than their older siblings. So if we stick with the same layout, then he has the earpiece on the same side as like the initial drawing. The other drawing that I did was much more judgier. This one just looks like he has much more of a longer face, which is also good because I don't want him to look too young. Well, he's supposed to be younger, but I want him to look more Ikemen-ish. Very similar layout of the hair to the brother. Now, unfortunately, because I was working on a sticky note, his hair was cut off, so I actually don't have everything sorted out exactly how I wanted him to be. And I think I wanted what I mentioned earlier is he's gonna be the kind of like train conductor. Which for me, it means that the hat's gonna be unavoidable. Also, this does not look like the same guy that I drew, but I think I might like it a little bit more. We'll see. He's a little bit Arakan coated, so I kind of want to make sure that his hair isn't directly in the center in the same way. I feel like he might have the same tie though. Because I feel like they would have similar-ish uniforms, you know? It's just their roles are different. Because if this is the case, then maybe I won't add... This is why I shouldn't draw so hard. Draw lightly so it's easier to erase. I'm gonna leave this here actually. Why can I not suddenly imagine what I want? I thought he would be easier because I had these photos saved that I liked more for him, I think. Button-wise, we could go like this. Yeah, I think it's funnier if he's the younger brother. Is that too typical? He has the same mouthpiece, I guess. Yeah, maybe he'll have like some sort of shawl, maybe. Just draw their nose too out rather than down. Something like this. Those faces jutting out quite a bit. And hat-wise, I always dip it towards the back, but I guess it's more flat. Maybe he'll have the ribbon. That way I can tie more red into there. Okay, let's figure out outfit. I feel like I don't want to give him like Dorito body. I think he's gonna be more rectangular in a sense. Just a little bit more bulky, I guess. Most of his look is gonna be also symmetrical. I don't know if you guys can tell I'm losing steam. The amount of effort I'm putting into this guy's outfit is very little. So maybe I won't give him the longer jacket from the back. The other one will be the older one, but he's, you know, smaller stature. Maybe he is older. I don't know. I'm gonna flip-flop between them because it could be funny to make him the younger one. So I'll go make this into a jacket instead. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want. I feel like I do have to plan out their outfits digitally. At least I can try to see if I can shorthand him. Yeah, I don't know what I want from this. I know this is gonna be like heavily weighted in terms of like how I separate the footage. It's gonna be majority the less EK men one will be mostly the footage of this video. This one is definitely on the back burner because I don't know what I want from him. I'll figure it out. I don't know. let me zoom out and show you guys what I've done already for, you know, the rest of this, and look how blue my hand is. Okay, I think that's what we're gonna do for today's like sketchbooking session. I think my brain's a little bit numb on trying to throw everything into a video to see if I could solidify anything instead of just letting myself just figure stuff out slowly. I think that's sometimes the downside when I know and I'm very aware of when I'm recording. So this was 1 out of 2 of the OCs that I wanted to make today. So I wanted them to have different looks to a certain extent. They're probably going to share a very similar color palette because they work in the same job. And typically anime style, I guess for like siblings and stuff, they usually share either the same eye color or the same hair. So we're gonna do something similar to that as well. But he's supposed to be more like the, what is it called? Train conductor-esque type of person. And I feel like lore-wise, maybe he worked as a, kind of worked towards more mechanic at first, and then saw the direction where his brother was going, decided to be a train conductor on the same train company or line as his brother, who works as a courier. So I think this is the other brother, I guess. I'm still debating whether or not he's gonna be younger or older versus this one. But right now he's kind of like our male courier. He's the one that's gonna be probably talking to Selwin the most and traveling, because I feel like if he's the train conductor, he's not gonna exit the train as often, you know? He's probably making more of the pit stops. But yeah, trying to figure out color palette and stuff. I feel like this is getting close to something I would want color palette wise. Visually, I kind of want to merge these two together, but I kind of want to see if I can mess around with his hair color. I would like it to be more of a, either like a metal gray, green color, or like a slate blue color. I don't know. We're going to figure it out. And then this was the stuff that we drew earlier, which I think this one's still cute. But general look for him, I feel like it's somewhat consistent-ish to how I want to draw him. He's probably going to be more of the problem for me, but just kind of brain dumping. And then the very initial sketches, he was very baby looking, very tiny. I feel like I was piggybacking off a little bit of Lohan at the time when I was drawing him. And then this is the older brother that I ended up doodling because I hated how I drew his face here, so I drew something on top really quickly. And then here, wrote some notes on some stuff, and then this was his initial design, which pretty much carried through all the way, I think, for the most part. And then the brother I was referencing, I do like his look a little bit more here, but I feel like this is just how I'm going to be able to draw him a little bit more accurately. But yeah, decided to take him out of more of like the kid, teenager-ish look. Kind of push him more towards like either young adult or similar to at least Selwyn's age, which is kind of canonically he's in his 20s. So I think that's the direction that I want to go towards. But yeah, I had like a general idea how I wanted to draw him. Probably because I took a lot slower in terms of like sketching and stuff. I could take my time to make very deliberate marks for the most part. Yeah, we just did a few spreads in my sketchbook trying to figure out a new character or two. I don't know if I'm going to keep them as they are or if they're going to change drastically. So look forward to whenever I end up doing either testing out color palettes like I did for Selwyn or making reference sheets for them. I don't know if they're going to be for Arfight. Like I said, I don't know if I have time to finish them. Same with Arakan and Anka. But for now, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching another longer kind of like sketchbooking session, like a true sketchbooking session rather than our usual full spreads like this. We're just actually sketching things out. But I think, yeah, that's it. Actually, wait, one more. Forgot. This was also like the initial design, but like I said, I think I was piggybacking off of Lohan at the time. So it's kind of what happened. It was this to these to this to this to this. that's basically it. So yeah, that's it for today's little sketching session. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hanging out with me as I try to finagle my way through another OC or two, which won't be solidified, but you know, it's okay. I'll talk to you guys next time in the next video. Holy crap, my hands are very, very blue right now. Bye.